So yeah, it's been a while. What's up, Space Fam? 12:41 a.m. Back at it. I know the last stream was in January. I hope everybody's doing well. I think I finally had a second to do all this, get everything set up again. And then I got sick. So it's been a couple of weeks, and so I'm a little bit hoarse, a little bit tired, but it seemed like the last good night to do it before the moon rises too late. And yeah, I got all the wires, I got the new computer. So yeah, lots of stuff has been happening. I'll update y'all, but just to say hi to everybody in the chat. Hopefully we'll see some of our old friends. Let me know how everybody's doing. I'm sorry if y'all thought I was dead or something. I just, lost the computer that I was working on, so I lost some of the data and all the login stuff, and then there was a storm, so I put everything away, and then work got busy, and then who knows how time flies like that. So yeah, I guess back here, November, this year is almost gone. So much has happened, and there are things to talk about, of course. I have been staying on top of all the different videos and different theories and stuff, but yeah, mostly busy with work and life. And I have written some new tunes. I've been working on some new music for y'all, and I'll share some this morning. And yeah, not low vibration, high vibration, but my voice is a little bit tired, so let's hop in this chat over here. Say hi to Debbie Carson, you're first. Nice to see you, Deb. Ryan and NC, what's up? Miguel, nice to see you. Donald Yates, it's been a while. Monarch Love, Dolphina. Happy to see everybody here. Let's just run some Luna. We got a 60.6% Luna waning gibbous here. I did see the eclipse. I've been sitting on the steps and just trying to appreciate the moon. Like I said, in last year's streams, I was going to try and start enjoying the moon without having to jump on the telescope every 2 seconds. So I've been practicing that all year. Yeah, lots of ums tonight, but because I have a lot to say. So yeah, of course, we lost Wall Thornhill this year earlier. I want to hop on and talk about that, but that never happened. And some interesting developments with space and science and consciousness, things advancing, some things being less advanced, and people still sort of missing the point. Some people getting it, a lot not. But yeah, let's play some music. Let's see if some more people join so I don't have to repeat myself. And let me know how everybody's been. And if you, there was Jupiter earlier, and I saw Orion as well when I set up tonight. So yeah, it took a while to kind of get everything logged in and hooked up again, and all the thumbnails and figuring out the wires for the camera. I can't even tell you how complicated it is once you put it all away in boxes. So let's go here. I'm going to play some new music actually, and everything is in beta mode, but we shall play something new. All right, this one's called Bisector. Alright, those are a couple of little demos. Last one's Eyeshadows. This one is called Acceptance. That's a little weird one. Alright, that's a pretty fun one. I kind of, I had to follow this interesting timing on it. So I'm playing around with some new tracks. Good to see everybody. I want to say what's up to Cognition Design. How you doing? Annette, One Love, and whoever else is joining. So yeah, I just decided to come on tonight because it's been a very long time, but I finally got everything organized and set up again. So yeah, so I'll probably stream again tomorrow. I'm not going to keep it too long tonight, just some tracks and a check-in. I want to talk a lot about, some of the theories that I was talking about last year. I have been trying to think about putting together a theory of everything style documentary that I mentioned once or twice before. It just really hasn't happened yet. There are a lot of different ideas that I would like to talk about, but at the same time, if you've been following me for a while, the stuff that I actually got to really made me kind of get, I want to say I got quiet this year. I kind of didn't want to say a lot about anything, didn't really want to comment on anything at all. And so it coincided with me taking a break from doing YouTube and really just kind of appreciating space and the moon, like I said, just sitting on my porch and not having to take out the scope. That's kind of what's been going on with me. I see Sensei Camilo, OMG, will be listening. Missed you, missed all of y'all. Missed the Space Fam, of course. I always do. But, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind, especially since everything is on the same computer. So when that's put away, I just don't log in to anything in this sphere. So, but it was very good this year for me because I was able to focus on different things. I had family visiting, I had people staying with me, so I was able to kind of put people in the house instead of putting telescopes in the house in the same room. So it was a good year to kind of reconnect and do other things. I'm not sure if I'm going to kind of stream so much going forward, but I'm going to try and stream here and there and just want to make sure that everybody knew that I was, okay. I know I got a lot of great messages, and I know there were storms here, so people were worried too. Sorry if I worried anyone. That was never my intention. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. I know it's crazy. The last stream we did was January, and I don't know, there was this kind of feeling that AI would really change everything, and it sort of has and it sort of hasn't. I feel like next year it's going to be a little bit crazier with kind of everything being mimicked and cloned and all these different things that you can't really tell are real or fake. Partially why I kind of started to feel like maybe streaming is one of those things that I have to kind of phase out of. It's been a lot of great years of doing it, and kind of said all the things that I needed to say. However, it's always tempting when I see other videos and people talking about consciousness and space and electric universe. I feel like there's a perspective that's lost, or at least a perspective that is not talked about often. That being this kind of self-manifestation where people are kind of working on consciousness. You have things like, I don't know if anybody's following what Nassim Haramein is doing. So Nassim is working on this Space Federation thing, and he's talking about really, opening up space and this new idea of the atomic structure and of the mass of the proton. And I think to some degree, well, I don't know the math, and I don't know, as much physics as any of these people that work with him, of course, but on a fundamental level, the structure of the universe and the fact that we ourselves create our own bodies, this whole idea of the fact that we are kind of manifestations of the greater whole, is really kind of lost in some of these different perspectives. So like Nassim Haramein, I've been following, what Rupert Sheldrake is doing. Rupert is getting older, and he has been having all these different discussions about religion and kind of the idea of, he's in this state of his life where he's starting to contemplate a lot of other things. And it's funny because for all these years of me talking about Rupert Sheldrake, recently this dialogue about theology and religion kind of just really overshadows the morphogenic field and the resonance stuff that really intrigues me more so than anything. I see Charlie Silverman in the chat. What's going on? Missed you too. Welcome. I'm just going to touch on a few topics here. Stop me at any point if you have any questions. But yeah, so I've been following that sort of stuff. Of course, Wal Thornhill passed away, and I don't want to say it's really sad because he gets to see kind of what happens after, he gets reinserted into the field. I've been following a lot of Dan Winter's work. So my feelings on Dan Winter, where I think a lot of the physics that he talks about, this kind of the array and the structure and Planck, completely with him. But then, of course, he has this whole other side where there's the UFO stuff, which has still doesn't rub me the right way. So that's interesting. What else happened? I don't know if y'all remember when I was talking about Jeffrey Walensky. So Jeffrey still doesn't have a lot of subscribers, but he does have a lot of haters on that one video. And my heart goes out to him because I think he's like right on the money about a lot of things. So Jeffrey, I've been watching your videos and this whole expanding Earth thing, and Earth was cooked inside a star, and that's where planets come from, I think is a much more fun way to look at the universe, a much more holistic way of the universe. And anyway, he did a video about Kepler's law, and he got so many like terrible comments, but really like people were just agitated. But I think it's interesting. Either way, I feel for him. So let's see what else happened. Thunderbolts Project has put out some interesting videos, like a little bit better, a little more poignant, but I still think that there's this kind of incessant desire to say like the system, the foundational system is wrong, and kind of this mocking, sarcastic way of talking about the fundamental about the system. But I really think that if you really understand things at a holistic level, you realize the system itself is part of this perfect system of Earth. And like nothing is actually wrong right now on Earth. Everything is working pretty perfectly. Everything is self-regulating. But of course, self-regulation towards what? Towards total annihilation, right? because that's the cycle of life. There's life and death, and light and dark, and sound and silence, and it alternates. And some cycles are really rapid, and some cycles are really, our perspective on them is very long. And so life and death is one of those cycles that, of course, the human race, the planet, the whole solar system has its life cycle, and at some point it's heading directly towards annihilation or ripening or rotting, right? And that's the natural process. And I feel like there's a lot of these people that I've been listening to recently who are on the verge of talking about field consciousness, which now is a really prominent topic, interestingly, after 5 years, 6 years of this, I feel like pulling my hair out over over the unified field stuff. Now everyone's talking about field consciousness and unified field this and unified field that, but even though people talk about the unified field and field consciousness, they never, or not they never, but it's not often that they reference the self and how the self against the other, self against field, actually creates the resonance that is required for consciousness. It's actually a really simple concept, and I'm a little bit, I don't want to say I'm in disbelief of the fact that it's taking so long, but I think I'm just intrigued by the fact that people can dance around topics without actually ever asking the obvious question as to who made the self. So that's what I've been pondering this year. But I have to say, a lot of people are talking about interesting things, and I don't know if the dialogue necessarily has moved forward, but I definitely feel like the soup is bubbling, and like Alexander can barely speak. Alexander Unzicker is putting out a bunch of great videos. If he would only fix his microphone, it would be great. Peter Battle, what's going on? It's all about the vibes. Good to see you. Charlie Silverman says, chaos is their thesis. They use it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I was saying earlier, like, oh, damn. I see Andrew Johnson, yo, namaste. Stephen A, nice. What's going on? Well, good to see everybody. So yeah, I mean, any of these topics you want me to touch on a bit more, I'd be happy to. But yeah, like, let's see. I talked about Nassim, I talked about Jeffrey. I guess Sky Scholars put out some stuff. Liquid metallic hydrogen sun. It's probably true. There's probably some evidence for that. Stephen Crothers, I guess, is still around, which is great. But it is interesting to see kind of a lot of that older generation is withering, and I do constantly have that feeling, that nagging feeling that I should be out here talking about this stuff a little bit more, but I don't know. If you truly understand the principles, then you end up wanting to just really be silent because there's nothing really to say. Everything is perfect as it is. And, people can look at you and say, what the hell is that all about? But the thing is, things wouldn't be anything if they weren't exactly right. Oh, I see NGC finally showed up. Hello, Spaceling. Long time, old friend. Sorry, I know that you emailed me like ages ago and I just never logged in again, so forgive me. I see Fantasy. What's going on, Fantasy? Yo. And did I say hi to Andrew Johnson? I did, yep. So yeah, I've been talking about a bunch of stuff. I know, I'm just thinking for a moment. I guess while I think, since I guess NGC is here and Fantasy is here, and a few more of y'all probably, I'm going to play y'all some new tunes. They're not perfect, they're not finished, but they are new and fresh. So I kind of rushed on them today, and I was like, I'm going to polish these 3 for tonight and hopefully go live. So everything really worked out after all. It's kind of crazy after this long I felt for, like, when I set up tonight, I was like, do I even remember how to do any of this stuff? What's that location on the moon? Like, what the hell's my password? So it's kind of crazy how, like, your field gets overlaid and with all this other stuff, and you're like, wait, Was I good at this at all? Is this okay? All right, let's see. Playlist is. All right, so this one. No. What do I start with? All right, so let's do this. I see Renegade, nice view. Yeah, we got a 60% waning gibbous moon. I mentioned it earlier, but I did see the awesome eclipse from my porch and all the other awesome conjunctions that happened. I mean, there were so many different alignments, and I was very tempted to pull out all the gear, but I didn't. Anyway, we're here now. Let's go with some tunes. This one is called Access to Excess. And yeah, it's rocking, so get your dancing shoes on.
It all seems fair, like small details. I don't feel like myself. And falling up, I seem like sea red. I know this trip we can take. I tell you that our bodies, they might sting like nails. I tell you that your mind's now in a forward state. I tell you that this made-up can't deceive my terrain. So don't play by myself, I can't feel my grace. Don't make me feel like I've stayed here too late. Oh, metaphor, bring metaphysical onto my slate. So give me access to the axis, I will go. Give me vested knowledge, science to save. Just give me success in society, tech society. There's no benevolence, no soliloquies. Just give me excess. You were my part, gone for so long. Tell me a far out story. You were surprised to find me alive. Now think about how we were then. Taking off always to know my pain. I'm rolling up pages, just playing my game. with electric evergreens. Smoking on our foliage. So kicking around our foliage. The electric sound our foliage. Yeah, I'm kicking around that foliage. I'm smoking around my foliage. Been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. Do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. Do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching for some of the realm, some of the realm. Do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. You do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. Smoking on our foliage. So I'm kicking around our foliage. The electric sound our foliage. Yeah, I'm kicking around that foliage. I'm smoking around my foliage. Been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. Do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. Do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching for some of the realm, some of the realm. You do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. I've been searching in some of the realm, some of the realm. You do what you gotta do, everybody looking for a common appeal. You left your shadow for me. It's true. So this world has come to play. Refining sliders, or just take my hand. All is one, all is one, all is one, all is one, like a cosmic sign. Oh no, we don't mind. Super scales, lunar sails, ride my soul, fly my body, fly my body. It's like this inside. Just it's been so fucking long, I don't even know why. It's time twisted like my memories. We packed inside my distant Zeta symphonies. Ooh, and when I see the sun is high, and I know all your land is dry. We sing like flowers forever. It's only what you do with it. 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 It's only what. It's only what you do with it. Let's get on. 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 Tables, gears keep turning. Souls see me that they know my feeling this and all my series. And the corner keeps turning. It's the overarching, 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 overarching feelings.
So that one's called Fortuna, or Fortune. Yeah, I mean, those Logic amps sound pretty raw. It's interesting, like I play around with different sounds. I see now playing these three how the mixes are a bit off in terms of normalization. But yeah, these are three kind of full-size songs. It's good to know that I can still write something. Sometimes I go months without writing and I'm like, can I still do this thing? So I'm working on those. I feel like the next few times I stream, I will play slightly more cleaned up versions, better mixes of those. But yeah, the plugin is just like the straight up Logic X, Logic Pro amp stuff, but I just tweak the different knobs and try and dial in, you know, some raw sounds. That last one, I really like the interplay between the two different like major kind of dominant sounding and then the Phrygian stuff. Had a Smashing Pumpkins sound. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, Smashing Pumpkins. It's so crazy to be in an era where all these old bands are putting out new material, and it almost feels like every song has been done at this point. I even listen to my stuff. I'm like, gosh, like I really need to push myself to be kind of to stay original, because I don't know. That's not a good excuse, but to really kind of write in that pop modality, you really have to you really only have a limited set of chords and types of things. That's why I kind of break and do some time signature stuff and try and really push myself. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the connection between self and other for a moment while we zoom in here. The visuals are not super great tonight. I'm on the 11-inch with the old A65 camera, but it's actually just a ton of atmospheric turbulence tonight, so you can see that. But we're north of Mare Imbrium, Plato on the left, we got Archimedes, Autolycus, we got Mare Frigoris at the top. It's like we never left. Moon's there, and the different color patches. But yeah, let's see what's going on. So it's kind of the same stuff, really. If you followed me, you know what is really missing out of the whole discussion of consciousness, which is the fact that you can't have self without other, you can't have life without death, sound without silence. You always have the interplay between the two. And so we have somebody like Nassim Haramein, who is working on the mathematics behind figuring out really the vortices and the tetrahedric nature, the polygonal and dodecahedral nature of the universe is kind of overlapping nested geometry, the stuff that Buddy Dougherty talks about, and the stuff that Dan Winter talks about, the stuff that probably Buckminster Fuller was thinking about. And this kind of nested geometry is the structure around this node, and the node is this point, this tiny point, and the largest point. It's our chakras, it's our mind, it's our whole body, it's our planet, and the interplay between this point and its shells is what creates the resonance of consciousness. And so I think that that's really the hugest part that's missing. And the way you can prove it is because the question that never arises, I hear in all these different interviews, is, who makes the body? What makes the body? They talk about all this stuff, the environment forms the body, but that really takes out the fact that you are projecting light into the field, and the field is light, and this interplay between the field and the projection from each individual human, individual particle, individual animal, the center of everything. The bug that thinks itself is human, the cat thinks it's the center of everything, the person, the persona thinks it's the center of everything, the planet thinks it's the center of everything. And in a sense, it is the center of everything in relation to everything else. But this thing wouldn't be what it is without other, without the shells, without the field. So what I have done recently, which I encourage everybody to do, is download the entire Alan Watts archive from the Alan Watts Foundation or whatever that is. I don't know why it took me so long and why I spent all these years just listening to Alan Watts on YouTube and other different, just random bootlegs, where I finally downloaded his entire archive and really dug in. And it's even more profound than before, because now it's finally sunk in as to all the different things he was talking about when it comes to the interplay between self and other. So let me just read some comments here for a moment. NGC says, "I've missed your review of Luna." I know not a lot of people, thank you, and I actually missed it too, but I also feel like have people been, I feel like the more corporate entities are now streaming, like the different astronomy, e-commerce shops now have like space streams, and I feel like NASA just announced some sort of like live streaming channel. So finally, after all these years, I guess they're taking space streaming seriously, but there's just something about like the raw footage without any talking heads and I don't know, any political views, I guess, but everything I say is pretty political regardless. Yo, SJ Sharks fan, what's going on? Fist bump. Let's see. Fantasy, are you familiar with Arabic music tone system? If you look into it, you could find some inspiration for new sounds. Yeah, I do know some of it. But I think it's like, I listen to a lot of John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu Orchestra, and I think it's less for me now. Well, that's not true. I'm actually learning a lot of different things at the same time lately. I've been actually trying to learn a little bit of jazz, because I feel like that's one of my weaknesses, like jazz chords and jazz phrasing. So I spent the last, 6 months practicing jazz on an acoustic. So that's really improved my playing a lot, I think. And then in terms of scales and modes and stuff, I haven't really focused on that as much as I really have more thinking about theory and taking ear training lessons so I can listen to chords and pick out chords by ear. So that's the stuff I've been working on lately. Some of these songs really are things that I like, riffs that I just have been developing. But I still think that, Arabic, Indian, I've actually, so I guess the answer is I've been listening to more Indian stuff and more kind of interplay between that and prog rock. So let's see. Instead of like microtonality. I've definitely looked into that. I guess it's I haven't done it in a while, but I definitely could. Isn't this projection the basis of simulation theory? So in a way, like there is this kind of simulation theory, and I was listening to this guy today talk about, there's no free will. I forget the guy's name. It's like some New York professor wrote a book about it, talking about how like no matter what you do, there's really no free will because everything's deterministic. So you do something and that creates the environment or the scenario for the next event to happen. And then the host was arguing with him, telling him, hey, but I decided to not eat this food. Is that not free will? And so there's this interesting interplay between it. But still, I find that the one underlying question that never comes up is who makes the human body? Who makes the eyeballs? Who symmetrizes the body? Who puts two arms? Who creates, or what creates the shape of the human body so that you can have 8 billion humans and every single one of them is slightly different, but mostly the same. And when you really think about it, the only possible answer, I think I don't want to say only possible answer because a lot of people have different answers, but I think for me, when you really think about it, you think, I made the body. I make the body. Like right now, you're growing your own body. And when I tell people that, a lot of people have it's a very interesting reaction gradient as to how people react when I say something like that to them. But that's, I would love to hear a better answer. It used to be, we don't know. It used to be aliens. It used to be you know, DNA. It used to be, oh, you know, it just happened. But really, like, you are creating every single hair, you're organizing proteins, you're pumping blood, you're using your brain. The identified you is doing all this work. And yet we constantly, you know, in general on the planet, 90% of people just choose to ignore that. And they must, because part of the system is that if everyone were aware and everyone knew that they were dreaming or creating this reality, then the whole reality would fall apart. So in a way, the entire system necessitates blindness and manipulation in a weird way. I see a lot of comments. Let me try and keep up with it. So simulation theory, but simulation theory in public tends to imply that that something is being projected and that humans just pick up this projection. But I really feel like there's a lot of evidence for the fact that we emit radiation as organized tubes of plasma. I guess it's buffering a little bit. So let's see. I'm going to go to the wider view of the moon. I don't think this is super clear. It'll be a little bit nicer. Yeah, so simulation theory tends to want to take humans out of it, but I think simulation theory, if you add the fact that we create our own bodies and the fact that we radiate, and our radiation actually entangles with the field and creates the projection of the holographic simulated reality, so to speak, then we are in essence, I guess, part of the simulation. But still, I would say that the fact that we create our own bodies is such a powerful concept, and it supersedes almost everything. It supersedes ethics and good and evil. It's the one true thing that each and every one of us has. Right? We can't be sure, if you think in this kind of sense of solipsistically, you know, thinking that you're the only character in this narrative and everybody else is a non-playable character. But let's say everybody else is a playable character. Let's say everybody it is you having the experience. So, you know, what's the delineation between real and not real, right? So I feel like I've gone down a rabbit hole, but I will be able to convey it a little bit more clearly. I'm just going to keep reading here. Let's see. What about Boltzmann brains? At some point, in an infinite universe, the randomness of this Earth must occur. I think that's one way of looking at it. You could also say it's perfect that it occurred, right? So the flip side of that is just the acknowledgement or the perspective shift of, wow, it occurred out of this pure randomness. Isn't that interesting? And then the other side of that says, that's great that it came into being. You know, this kind of, I don't want to say it's dulled or a dumbed down version, but it's a little bit akin to the old, to the Zen koan stuff. You know, when you first go out, you start looking at mountains and rivers, and mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers, and then you start learning about Zen, and mountains are no longer mountains and rivers are no longer rivers, and you ultimately learn to be enlightened, and you practice that, and mountains are once again mountains and rivers are once again rivers. And what that means is that, you know, when you first start, you have to really learn the rules, and then once you've learned the rules, then you can break them. And I feel like breaking the rules in this instance is asking this fundamental question as to, like, who is the self? Like, how is the self existing? Where are memories stored? Who makes the body? And why can we be all the same yet a little bit different? Let's see. Just reading some of these comments. All right, let's throw on a tune here. I'm gonna go get myself a drink. Let's see what else I got. Can I play even some other new stuff for y'all? Are there any events that happened this year that I missed? I know I talked about Wall Thornhill, Fly on Wall, and yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting, a really interesting time and a shift in consciousness, but also, you know, this really big pushback against new physics. But it's going to happen. It seems, you know, 10 years ago, none of this stuff existed. So it's amazing to see so many different channels really talk about field and talk about resonance. And they're just on the verge of asking those questions, these big questions. But I don't know, might not happen in my lifetime. Might not happen. And that's fine, you know. All right, back in a couple. Happy birthday. Sorry I missed that, NGC. I hope you had a lovely one. Don't be sad. My birthday's coming up at the end of this month. Getting on in the 40s, but it's okay. Let's see. Yeah. Alright, back to this one. This one's called Fine Fixer. All right. That one wasn't ready for prime time. But anyway, I'm back here. I guess I had coffee, so I've got some energy. Let's talk a little bit more. I can brain dump a bit, and we'll get back to the tunes. So yeah. What other topics arose this year? I feel like I was saying, not many new ideas, but many people are actually evolving their ideas. Now, somebody I didn't talk about Eileen McCusick, so her channel is growing, and that's excellent. I feel like it's a shame that not enough people are, connecting with her in terms of the electric universe stuff or plasma cosmology or unified field theory, because she would be excellent at talking about it, and you can tell that she's kind of turned her attention really more to general healing and vibes versus specific physics. And yeah, the alien UFO interview. I saw a couple of things about the Mexican trial, Mexican court thing where they showed that. I didn't you know my stance on it, not to get too deep into it, but I bet you it's all, human stuff. All of it, from top to bottom. Not that there can't be craft from foreign worlds or from inside the Earth, but it seems more likely to me that it's always been human stuff. But I feel like the ufology disclosure thing is this infinite carrot. It'll never really be fully disclosed, because why would you ever give up a secret that big? And also, why would you ever give up a mystery that you can keep milking for that long? Ross Coldheart. Yeah, I can look that up. I mean, I'm always interested in, listening. But like I said, that's my opinion on it. We'll see. I think it'll take a long time before people start to kind of really consider what these technologies really mean. I think, what else did I see? I saw some over Unity stuff. I watched the Thrive updated documentary. I don't know if anyone's watched Thrive before, but you remember David, was it Foster Gamble, right? I think. They went to Africa and found some over Unity engines. That was a real over Unity generators, and took a scientist with them. That I remember watching that a few months ago. That was interesting. Let's see. McCon, what's going on? This looks like Emperor Palpatine bust on the moon. Yeah, there are lots of amazing faces in the moon. I can see, wow, look, it's getting kind of sharp right now. I'm going to need to adjust the exposure, but drones with dish brains. Yeah, what was I talking about? So I was trying to just catch up on all the different events. So yeah, there was Andrew Hall stuff on Electric Unit, Thunderbolts project, talking about how electricity creates all this amazing geology, and I think he's really on point with that. The general feeling I have with Thunderbolts project, of course, besides Wall Thornhill and kind of the fact that David Talbot is much older, and Stuart Talbot kind of is not really involved as much anymore. I guess he is and he isn't. But they've done so much amazing work already in establishing kind of this one place for a lot of different information seekers to go and kind of get the primer around Velikovsky, around electricity interplay. And so, I can't really fault them, but it's also just a weird, trajectory where there's no kind of crossover between the community anymore. And the videos are very are voiced strongly and have very great insight, but also come across a little bit naive and argumentative as opposed to inclusive. Let me adjust the exposure for a second. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Got some nice sharpness. I missed watching the moon up close. I did use the binoculars a bunch and a small telescope for a while. I was actually considering one of these new tabletop AI guided telescopes. I don't know if anyone's been messing around with those, but they look very cool, and I think it might be something in the future that I'd like to get into. So yeah, I mean, not to ignore the moon, but I'm watching it fervently. So top left, we've got the Apennine mountain range. We've got Mare Imbrium. And on the right, of course, Tycho, and you can see the parallel rays coming off of Tycho. Crater along that is Borealis. And you got the whole Oceanus Procellarum area. Aristarchus glowing extremely brightly. And Kepler below Copernicus, Eratosthenes at the tip of the mountain range, and then Archimedes, Autolycus, Plato, Mare Frigoris, and then right in the middle, Cleomedes, right? No, it's not Cleomedes, that is Ptolemaeus, Arzachel, right? And Theophilus. I'm trying to remember all of these. It's been a while. But yeah, looking gorgeous. Tomorrow will be a last quarter moon. Right now it's about 60%. Let me know if y'all saw the annular eclipse in your state or where you were at, or did you check it out online? It looked really beautiful. It felt like that time when we caught it here. But I was thinking about setting up for it, but it just didn't happen. Everything was still put away. So yeah, I see that, there is this whole kind of move towards getting this Artemis mission out to the moon. And I have actually softened my, conspiratorial stance of like, it's never going to happen, to a wait and see kind of thing. So we'll see. I don't want to be super skeptical. I just don't live in that kind of space anymore. But I do really feel like there's probably two different space programs going on, one public and one private, that we don't know anything, not much about at least. But I would bet that it involves some sort of, field technology. Who else? Who else haven't I talked about? I watched some Theoria Apophysis. Ken is still doing his thing. I still think, a lot of the stuff he says is pretty brilliant. But he doesn't talk about the God complex or the self and other and fields and a lot of the philosophy, even though I bet you he knows it. What else? Yeah, throw me a topic in the chat. Anything that caught your attention? Anything lunar related? I checked out Electric Universe Eyes today because I hadn't seen it in so long, and he has some really great videos up with electric discharge machining on like a sphere of ceramic, a ceramic sphere. It's pretty great. So that was fun. Chris Kelly, thumbs up. What's going on? Nice to see you. It's cool to see everybody. I appreciate y'all hanging out tonight, this morning, watching some moon with me. Let's get back to some tunes here. And yeah, let me know if you have any theories that you want me to talk about or discussions. I'm going to wrap it up in a little bit. I know I've been saying a lot tonight. I hate that. I'm going to try not to do that anymore. Jam's on the way.
Rocket drift, you let me share your armor. Left here with this painted for my own father. Just inseparable like motion and desire. All our scars have really faded, don't be tired. Just believe, soul is traveling. Just believe, soul is traveling. Pass the pounds on the electric solar can feel, I can feel, I can feel like the wave. I can feel, I can feel, I can feel like the waves. I can feel, I can feel, I can feel.
Alright, hopping back in here for a little bit. So yeah, so let me get back to a couple of things that I was talking about, which is really, what I've said in the past, and I'm sticking with it, which is, the idea of the field existing outside of our bodies, and the field encompassing everything that is not the self. So self and field make one unit. The unity, the unified consciousness is self and field. And that can manifest, or at least can be represented metaphysically, but also physically, as the body that we see and the field around our bodies that we feel and sense. But what's more impressive, I think, and more interesting is that within this field, we are projecting this, spiral energy coming out of the eyes and spiral energy coming out of our ears, the eardrums and the iris, the center of this incredibly dense black hole in the center of our eye. And this radiation coming out of the human body, the reason it's coming out of the human body is because we are literally grown along an electrical bunch of roots or filaments. We come out of the womb along a branch, and this branch is a flesh manifestation around electrical cables or filaments or twisting Birkeland filaments. And these electrical currents create layering of fascia and skin, and then hair, and then air, and then field around the body. And if you look at the cross-section of a limb, of a tree, of a human, of pretty much anything, of an onion, you'll really see these layers, but they are surrounding this tightly wound cable. And this cable creates little knots, and these knots, these Z-pinches, or nodes, or chakras, or Planck units, or protons, neutrons, muons, gluons, particles at every single size can be summed up to a single particle as a fractal. And the single particle as a fractal has a field around it. And in this field you have recursive and nested geometric shells. And along these shells you have information and sensory awareness. And this is the fundamental part of the fact that not only can we know that we are God by the manifestation of our human body and the fact that we weave our own skin and create our own eyeballs and we grow each and every hair on our bodies, and we do that without even trying. And so that's one way of understanding the self. But then if we also understand that self is not self without field, then we also understand that we carry and project and create a field of awareness around our physical form. And in this field, we're able to carry memories, countless infinite memories, in cymatic fractal water. very thick, heavy water. And anytime we really need to, retrieve or remember as opposed to dismember, and remember a fractal memory, we send a signal into the field and we retrieve it and we create a quantum entanglement. And this resonance is what we consider consciousness, but it's also memory retrieval. And this falls in line with all these different theories of how, this theory or this idea encompasses simulation theory, but it also encompasses atheism and theology and everything else. It pretty much is the one catch-all theory because, of course I can say that because it's what I think to be true, and people can completely disagree with me. But I think the question is never truly asked in any of these different interviews or discussions from even all the channels that I really like. They don't really talk about who made the human body, where are memories stored, how are memories stored. Except for Rupert Sheldrake has talked about it, but people don't seem to create any new ground with Rupert, and he's really getting old at this point. So I've seen pretty much every piece of footage with him, and he basically has to reset every single time and re-explain morphogenic fields and panpsychism from the ground up, and by the time he does, the interview is over. So I don't know if anybody follows Rupert Sheldrake, but he's one of the few people that's ever talked really about the fact that, where is memory stored? And is it stored outside of the brain, outside of the head, in the field? And I think Alan Watts was sort of talking about that. He didn't really say it exactly like that, but he was talking about the fact that us building computers, and we're building a neural network outside the human body. So there is something I'm trying to remember, which was, I've listened to 1,000,000 different Alan Watts, 1,000 different Alan Watts lectures, and I think one of the things that he said that I didn't really hear before is something akin to the fact that when our body assembles, there creates this organism where there's complete interplay between all parts of the body. And what we're doing on Earth is creating this interplay between all the different continents on Earth. We're assimilating, and that's actually a natural process of Earth. So I think that's really, yeah. Manos says, Bernardo Castrop. Yeah, I've seen him pop up a lot lately. Let's see. Moved house, just unpacked more books. Who Built the Moon by Christopher Knight. It's interesting. I think there's definitely a very, like I've said in the past, a seductive narrative around there was no moon and then there was a moon, or somebody created the moon. But last year when I found Jeffrey Walensky, and he talked about the fact that, or not the fact, the theory that all planets come from the center of stars, and that eventually something like Earth will turn into the moon or Mars or ultimately Mercury, and then shatter into debris and then be reabsorbed by stars. This idea made me really consider the fact that the moon, while being a very interesting object that you could derive many conspiracies and ideas from, it truly makes me feel more comfortable to look at it as the center of an old star, like an ancient star. In fact, being a companion star to Earth maybe trillions or billions of years ago. The entire timeline gets thrown off, which is really fascinating about Jeffrey's stellar metamorphosis theory. Manos, tell me what Bernardo Castro specifically talks about. I know that a few different people have been talking about unified field and resonance. So people are I think, on the fringe or just, on the precipice of talking about this theory. But even when they talk about resonance and field, there's the metaphysical and the Zen aspect of it that doesn't get linked up, which is, the shape of the human body, where are memories stored, what is God, who made the human body. I think one of the biggest ones, obviously, is who makes the body, right? Is it just attributed to fantasy? Fantasy, do you make all the human bodies? Or, theology, a god, or an alien, or earth, or circumstance? Or does the self and field, craft the human body from basically light resonance? And I think that the more I think about it like that, the clearer I'm able to look at the rest of the world. So there's that. But then there's also the fact that I guess one of the things that irritates me, or not irritates me anymore, because I try not to get irritated by just old ideas, but the fact that I guess there are a couple of thinking about things like that. There was something I was like, I need to talk about this on TakeBackSpace, which is this idea of quoting people from 200 years ago. Every time you want to talk about science, like, this guy 200 years ago said this random thing, and so da-da-da. Or, like, you can't have any discussion without quoting some person from 100 years ago or 80 years ago. And it's, off the top of my head, I'm not, like, everyone quotes Stephen Hawking, for example, or Dawkins, or have to always reference Newton or Einstein, which I understand, standing on the shoulders of giants. Of course, these people were very smart. Of course, look up to your peers or elders or whatever you want. And it's always good to look at history. However, it's just like, it's so obsessive, and like, with so many other fields, that never happens. With the advancement of cuisine and desserts, you don't have these chefs being like, well, let's see how they made it in the Victorian era. No, they're talking about new techniques. They're referencing people who are their contemporaries. It's the same with design and technology. People are not being like, well, let's go back to the horse and buggy. No, people are moving towards flying vehicles. But with science somehow, and physics, it's like, well, this guy 300 years ago said something, and isn't that interesting? And I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? It's really incessant. It's that incessant academic, filter, which doesn't allow you to really get past, the pomp and posturing of just saying, hey, I've read this book. Did you read this book? Or do you know this theorem by heart? Versus really understanding or talking about anything. Let's see. Yeah, so that's one pet peeve, is a little bit of always having to reference people from 200 years ago to talk about contemporary physics. And the other thing was, again, the fact that I don't want to say the nihilism, but I feel, or nihilism, but I feel like people are still hung up on immortality, self-preservation, the end of humanity. Even people who are aware of the fact that, there might be a unified field, the fact that we're all one. People say that a lot. We're all one, we're unified, but they don't really grasp the physics behind it, or they don't really question, the symmetry of everything. Again, like, why 8 billion people pretty much all look the same, but all a little bit different, but all pretty much look the same. And the reason for that, of course, is the fundamental geometry of things, the pinch, the compression and rarefaction. The reason the human body looks the way it does is because it is resonance. It's high intensity gamma radiation, and it's a standing wave, basically. We are a fluctuating, radiating, undulating, filamentary structure, like a tree or like a flower, or like a fruit, and we're rotting slowly. But that's the natural process of things. So the perfection of the universe brings us to being, and we are the perfection of the universe, therefore we bring ourselves into being, and then we rot ourselves by getting sweeter and sweeter and smarter and older, until we wither away and turn into debris and on and reseed the rest of it. And in this nature, you know, in this sense, we're immortal. The propagation of life is forever, right? So there's no need for immortality. And self-preservation, you don't need self-preservation because you yourself are the one that created preservation and non-preservation. It's conceptually. Let's see. Fantasy says, yeah, we're all one, the Boltzmann brain. Yeah, I know that, like, the Boltzmann constant, but I guess, yes, we're all one, but like I said, I think when people say that, it's difficult to, excuse me, it's difficult for people to conceive of the physical nature of it, right? The wires that the human being is built upon, radiating into a layered field around each human body and every single unit in the universe, right? Every animal, every Planck unit, every neutron, every star, every planet has an onion skin of undulating plasma around it, layered and layered and layered, like the same, you know, pretty much every single, not pretty much, every absolute thing in the universe is like that. And I think, so yes, we're all one, but what is the distinction of one against other, or self to other? And that is the fact that, yes, we are one, but we are radiating. Oh, I know what I was talking about earlier, which is this idea that when you look up optics, I've said this definitely in the past. Yeah, pass that over. I've talked about it in the past where, like, if you look into optics and you see, you type in, let's say, how does the eye work? Or how do we see? And you'll see that either science has absolutely no idea, or they know and they lie directly to everybody by saying this first sentence, which is, photons fall into our eye. Every single sentence of every single optics video I've ever looked up, textbook, MIT lecture, YouTube video, paper on archive, Wikipedia, photons fall into our eye. And now, based on what idea does this really make sense, or make more sense, let's say, than the humans and all creatures and all energy in the universe radiates into the field omnidirectionally. And these radiation waves look like spirals. They go along these filamentary currents, and they interact and quantum entangle with the field, and therefore create what we perceive as matter. And so at every juncture, our human body, our eyes, our ears, our sensory awareness, every single hair follicle is sending out radiation into the field and quantum entangling and creating a co-created reality between self and other. And so is everything else in the universe. This is an idea, right? Like, I could be wrong, and maybe I am, but, like, that's how I think about it. And so if that's the case, then photons don't fall into the human eye or into any eye. And light from the sun doesn't reflect on a dog and then just zap itself into our eye, and that's how we see. It's very insulting in a way, the fact that, like, we live in a reality where that is the consensus about how optics work. But it makes a lot more sense to me that there are little spirals of energy that come out of the human eye. And that's the field of vision, the conical vision that we have. And the energy, the reason it comes out so powerfully like a laser from the center of our eyes is because our skull has an intense amount of radiation inside of it, and our eye sockets, focus this light energy, and it goes through this tiny little, it squeezes out through the little pinhole. And this is where, the stuff that Dan Winter talks about, where I think he's absolutely correct about it, where you have this Planck times the golden ratio, and the cascade of the array into the array. So the human eye co-creates visual reality. And of course, if you take that away, the human body is still creating, with every other part of the body. We're sensing the field, but the field is not just falling at us. We're actively sending signals and radiating into the field. So we have this so it basically means we have a responsibility of creating reality. And that's, I think, the bigger point that I'm trying to make. I guess we've lost the moon. I'm going to adjust this real quick. See if we can't. Whoa, it got real cloudy. Like old times. Look at that. Yeah, we'll let the clouds go by. Yeah, so that's one of my other pet peeves. I don't think photons fall into our eye. I definitely think our eyes send out beams of low intensity radiation in spirals and quantum entangle to create what we perceive as matter. So that's an idea. Let's see. Manos says, I don't like to follow anyone, but he, I think Bernard Kastrup, right, has many answers that we've been missing for decades. As I see it, human being the metacognitive sensory cells for a concrescent, evolutionary, emergent thing. I guess if I kind of break that apart, are you saying that, I think this is something I was thinking about earlier too. Is it, this implication that humans are different than everything else because of the way we perceive things, that we think humans are so complex and specific that the emergent properties that created humans, actually, I think maybe I'm not. Maybe it's a little bit late and I'm fishing here. But I was listening to this guy earlier who was saying something about how, emergent properties. But what I got to there is the fact that, again, who builds the body, right? Even if the body is an emergent property, we're not just along for the ride, right? Like, I think people could argue that and say we have no free will and that we have no stake in this. But I really think that is limiting. So I definitely think that we have a lot more responsibility when it comes to creating our reality and also creating our human body. And that fact, or to me at least, is something that supersedes this idea that, there's no free will or life is just an emergent property that just so happened to be this way, and that, life just came to be, as a cosmic accident. Because you can look at it that way. I think in a lot of ways, not in a lot of ways, I actually think that something like the Big Bang, for example, might be just a misinterpretation, right? The Big Bang could be one of these things that is being talked about it in the sense that it's just one Big Bang versus the multitude of Big Bangs, right? Many, many different bubbles that create universes. And quantum mechanics talks about multi-Big Bangs and the fact that there are so many and that some of them ultimately will yield a universe. And those universes will ultimately yield an Earth, and those Earths will ultimately yield a human. However, I think that, the way I'll explain that is that a planet is also a Planck unit, is also a human, is also an atom, is also a point. Do you know what I mean? Like a planet is already the same building blocks that would make a human. So I don't think humans are different than Earth or different than the solar system. We're literally embodiments of the entire solar system. And the way you can be sure of that, again, is to continue to recursively think on the field. All right, let me lower the exposure here. I guess it cleared up again. Yeah, if you think back on the field, you realize that not only do you have complete control, but you brought yourself into existence as well. And so that's a lot more control than determinism and just pure emergence. Fantasy says, what if Earth is a living being and we're just the cancer? Well, I think that there are a lot of different ways of looking at that. One is like flipping the whole thing on its head and realizing that cancer, like any other thing, is a self-regulating system on Earth, right? So diseases and bacteria, we wouldn't exist without, all these different diseases and bacteria and breaking down chemicals that can break enzymes and stuff that can break down foods, that can break down Earth. So we exist in relation to destruction. And then, what is the other part of that? Let's see. How do we know? Yeah, cancer has a kind of political, or it's a loaded, it's I don't say it's loaded. People feel really terrible about cancer. Cancer is not fun. People lose people because of cancer. But if you think about it in the larger context of the fact that we get to live at all, that still, again, supersedes death and cancer. The fact that we get to be here at all is already the greatest thing that's happened. Let's see. But you can also look at it like Earth, and I also agree that Earth is a living being. And I don't know if Earth views people as a cancer. I think Earth might be just doesn't feel one way or another, right? It might not even. It's the same way, I guess. How do you feel about bacteria on your body, right? Do you think about it in terms of individual bacteria? Or do you, and sometimes I think people don't even think about the amount of bacteria on a human body. So I imagine that, and even cancer, right? Cancer takes years to emerge. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have it and it stays. Sometimes it kills you. But everybody pretty much has cancer originally. And, you don't think about it for a long time until you think about it. Regulates us with fantasy says so. It regulates us with earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, viruses. Yep, economic strife, poverty. Right, these things that seem purely political only, or like economics. These are all part of nature. I think the media and and books and maybe just primitive thinking has led us to just sit on this idea that humans do this very special thing only. We do these stock market things and we do these specific medicine things and surgery. Like animals can't do that, and bacteria can't do that, and planets can't. So only humans do this specialized thing. But I really think that every single action of humans can be broken down into this geometry, into resonance, into kind of this gradation of choice, which ultimately looks like filaments. So in a way, I think like we both don't have free will, but also we created that limitation in order to have the best overall experience as embodiments of the greater whole. Let's see. Manos says, I think so. Sorry, I'm just going back and forth trying to talk. So the universe is such a massive program, it does not know its teleology. Explains order chaos. Free will determinism. The universe is such a massive program. Well, the thing is, I feel like there is this, again, a bit, I think it's a bit seductive to think about the cosmos, or to think about, well, I guess people don't think about it like that. They think about the cosmos and they're like, it's so huge, and things that are big make us feel small, and therefore that, even though seductive is not the word that somebody would attribute to it, I think there's a seduction to this idea that I'm so small and powerless, and the universe is so much bigger than me. And then there's this other side to it when you look at tiny creatures and you're like, I'm glad I'm the size that I'm at, because it would be crazy to be that tiny. But you don't think about, there's no romanticized version of the tiny universe where you're like, I want to live in this quantum realm. But people do think, I wish I could see another star system. I wish I could see Andromeda. I wish I could go to Mars or Jupiter. And this idea that the grand, the big, we are seduced by this idea. But what I'll say is that the fact that you can even see anything in space at all is an attribution of your eyes. Our eyes that humans create, their own eyeballs, can see into space and quantum entangle with light that's, if you believe that it's that old. It could be that old, but I really don't like this idea of talking about light coming from distant galaxies being old light and things not being as they are. Things are as they are when you see them, and that's what they are. You don't go around talking to people and imagining them to be children, right? You just look at them as they are. So I don't know why people romanticize this idea of like, we're looking 100 trillion years into the past. Like, it's like talking to a person, it's like infantilizing the universe. If you're an adult person and somebody talks about you like you're like a child, you're not going to, that's just a very odd thing, right? That an adult would talk to you that way. So that's a couple of ideas. Let's see. Manos says the Big Bang may be the event horizon or center point of the toroid. Then we expand and contract around the donut. So yeah, so the Big Bang, at the center of the Big Bang, you have a node, you have a Z-pinch, and around the Big Bang you have expanding layers. And that's when you see the Big Bang imagery, you see that kind of point and this pizza slice. And that apparently is a 13-point-something billion-year-old universe, right? But if you see what they're talking about now with James Webb, they've doubled this. They've made it 26 billion, right? And so there's this kind of idea that the Big Bang actually expanded omnidirectionally from this point, right? It's not just one pizza slice of the universe. So that to me is an interest. This new, they will ultimately evolve the Big Bang into the multi-Big Bang, and ultimately realize that life is an emergent property. But I still feel like we're very far away from the realization that the self and other is a unified whole. Self creates reality with the unified field, and we have a really big role to play in it because we are co-creating reality. Anyway, I think I've talked about that a lot. Let's see. Fantasy says, well, bacteria isn't a monolith. You want to explain that a little bit more? I mean, I feel like there are just resonance speciation on Earth. And things like bacteria, things like enzymes and proteins and peptides, all this stuff are necessary for life is sort of the point. I'm not sure what you mean by monolith, though. Yo, more Jello, please. What's happening? Holy crap, long time. Well, cool. I'll try and be on tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern for some jupes if the weather is clement. And yeah, I think prokaryote versus eukaryote. Gosh, I wish I could remember exactly what those are, but they're types of organisms, right? I think. Yeah. So, again, we got some beautiful Luna tonight. I'm going to stick around for another 10-15 minutes here, play some tracks, and let me know if you have any thoughts on what I've been talking about. Yeah, feels good to be back for a little bit. Hope everyone's been well.
Once were the depths of the dream that became time will never break me. Let love come and sink me. Holds rounds. Oh, lean on this battle, feed on the spiral, lean on this bottle. Oh, like you, feed on this battle, lean on the spiral, like you were asking. So electric, so like you wanted to go. When you feel this deal, there's only up here. Till you're doing up to shine what you want to be on the soul of you. Some love and what you do. Break this deal up till you distance here. How you want to. Time to ride. Say how you do. Like silhouettes we crash against the waves we got to. Climb the mountains high enough like how we do. Some lack enough. What mystery or love? In between the record, I found light had turned to dust. Rockets on the beach, oh, when you just went to leave. I believe once told, our story carries out. Your breath so inspiring. Oh, it's nothing like you thought it though. One day there's nothing left to prove. All this love we find, falling into face with you. Long enough and I'm gonna lose my mind. Laying out the evidence, we'll cover the shot this time. Like there's a fire. Say you to love you for so long. Oh, like my desert fire. Fire. Lights in the distance. I walk slowly up the stairs. See a head of lion sit alone upon his bed. Oh, fractured beast, I know it's been so long. What time is it? Time is it? I know I will catch sight of it. So go on, inform. Oh, sand is like the mind and scattered soul. I let it go. Sigh like I'm all reaching out. I left my home for 7 miles. We trail along for 7 lives. Let the whole heart sing. We'll cover the shot this time. The light doesn't fire. Say you love him for so long. Like there's a fire. There's a fire, fire. There's a fire. There's a fire. Say you burn. Like there's a fire. There's a fire, fire.
All right, some of those tracks from the last cycle. I see Auntie Queenie. What's going on? Sorry you were worried. I know I was mentioned it earlier, but like when I have all the gear put away, sometimes it's like out of sight, out of mind. So has been a while. I will be streaming a few more times this month and maybe into December. We'll see how it all goes. Like I'm not really able to set up on the back porch anymore, but when the moon is rising, I'll be able to do some viewing, and then tomorrow maybe we'll do some Jupiter at around 9 p.m., so stay tuned for that. Yeah, so Fantasy says we gotta enjoy tonight because we might have another 8-month spell without... No, it won't be that long, I promise. This year was very specific, but I will try and stay on the track at least with every full moon now that I have everything set up again. Yeah, I mentioned it, but my old computer, my PC, just completely fried, and I had to not only wait to buy a new one, but when I bought the new one, I had to transfer all the old files over, reset up OBS, reset up all the camera software. So it's I don't know why it feels like so much work, but this year has really felt like that with all the different layers, layers upon layers of stuff that I've learned and experienced, starting to, I don't want to say that weighing me down, but definitely came back to setting up the scope, thinking like, do I even know how to do this anymore? Like, how do you really set the scope up? Did I forget how to use the camera? It's pretty funny. No, I'm like so set up with gear at this point. I even have like I bought that nice Sony camera, but I really feel like this old A65 is still the best for quick setups. I do feel like at some point I want to get into solar work, and I've been saving up for one of those, quark filters, the Daystar quark filters, or even like maybe a lunt, like a small lunt scope. Something for 2024, maybe get into some proper solar work, look at the tufting, look at all the different filamentary action on the sun. People don't really tend to see that, or at least the stuff that when I see streams about the sun, people don't talk at all about, robitaille, surface of the sun, liquid metallic hydrogen. They don't talk about stellar metamorphosis. They don't talk about the sun being alive like, Rupert Sheldrake. People aren't putting together the pieces. So I feel like I probably still have something relevant to say here and there. I listened to the Beatles song today. What do y'all think of that last Beatles song with John Lennon? It's pretty good. Kind of makes me feel good about my writing. I'm like, if people like simple, straightforward Beatles songs, then I can't be doing too poorly with my stuff. I don't know. Is it cocky to compare myself? I don't think I'm like the Beatles, but I do love that kind of, almost bittersweet pop with string arrangements. I thought it was good, but I don't know. I'm a little bit more eclectic, I think, in my listening than just the Beatles, but they are great. So yeah, clouds rolling in, and I'm also losing the view here, so I'm going to just let our Luna fade. And let's see. Auntie Queenie says, ooh, yes, that was a lot of work. It has been a strange year, but things do seem to be shifting. The lovely eclipse, no doubt, played a part in this freshness. Yes, I did sit under the eclipse and watch the shadows change. It was around 80% where I was at, and it felt like a very interesting milestone for sure. This whole year has felt like that too. I think me being able to put TakeBackSpace aside for a little bit and focus on my work and family and being able to have people over, because, typically I live in basically stacks and stacks of telescopes and cameras. My house is basically made out of gear. So when I put it all away for the storm, then I was able to have my guest bedroom open. So I had family staying and friends staying, and it was actually really great. And then this holiday season, I don't really have anyone coming to stay, so I was like, all right, like maybe now it's finally time to take out the telescopes again and get going. So I'm glad I did. It's nice to see everybody. It's good to check in. And sorry if I got anybody worried or didn't respond. That's just, that's kind of who I am. Sorry about that. Hope it's not too disappointing, because I always do come back, and y'all know what to do if I don't, spread the word, connect all the dots, and I'll return to the array. And in the best way possible, of course, nothing morbid. So, yeah. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? I'm trying to think. Like, I always do this, and I'm like, oh, damn, I should have talked about that. But I think I've talked about everything. Like I said, a lot of these cats in the Electric Universe I think Greg J has probably been putting out videos, and I don't think I've seen anything from Kronos, or I haven't watched any Suspicious Observers. Like, can't really live in that, doomsday scenario vibe anymore. And yeah, I don't know. Been focused on the self, been writing a lot. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of guitar, playing a ton of jazz. Like, I wish I were playing jazz. I'm learning how to play jazz a little bit. It's taken me all this time to just get a little bit better. So yeah. All right, wrapping it up here, everybody. Gonna choose a song to take us out, and I'm gonna go get some rest. It's been awesome. Leave me any final thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, let's see what song is good here. Is this going to be a classic, or is it going to be something new? All right. Also, shout out to everybody checking this out tomorrow or the day after or whenever you do. If I missed you on the stream, I appreciate you, and missed everybody who didn't show up tonight. So, but everyone who's here, this one goes out to you. This one's called Bring Me Back, and you always do. Good night, everybody. I'll catch you on the next stream. This is your captain signing off on another Take Back Space journey through the stars. All right, bonne nuit, and take care, everybody. Peace.
Just brings me back. Oh, bring me back out of the cold. Ooh, just bring me back. Just bring me back. I need your warmth. These cosmic revelations, we all got our places to play. The creatures grinding against the grain, build a world.